Today I'll be reviewing Pokemon Sun and Moon episode 51 and 52. So these episodes were great. I couldn't get this review done last week, but thankfully I could get it done this week by squeezing in some time so I didn't have to make a triple next week, which would probably be really annoying. Anyways, so these past two episodes were great. So episode 51 was called Effortful Lily, a Determined Runaway Act. And this first episode was great. It's when Lily finally went into her Z-powered form, is what it's called in the game. But she just called it her effortful form. That's kind of weird. Anyway, so the episode started where the last one ended, and Lily is in shock along with the others, but because her mom got taken away. But instead of crying, she just says that she'll just rescue her mom. And then that piece of trash Faba says that it's actually Lucimine's fault she got taken away, even though he activated the machine and no one knew he was doing it. This is why no one likes Faba. Anyways, that aside, Ash tries to offer his help, but Gladian says that it's a family matter, so he tells him to stay out of it. And Professor Burnett tells Gladian that they'll have to find a way to get through the Ultra Wormhole. Then James takes them, well, Butler James takes them back to Lily's house. So when Lily gets home, she finally changes into her Z-powered form and tries to leave, but Gladian just walks in and is like, "Hey, I'm coming in," without even asking, and then Lily's like, "I'm getting into my pajamas." But no one actually wears shoes while they're sleeping, unless they're Lily. Anyways, but Gladian knows, well, he's not dumb, so he just asks her if she knows how they're gonna get through the Ultra Wormhole. But she has no idea, but Gladian says that he may have an idea, so they head out on Type Null to go find out how to get through the Ultra Wormhole. The next day at school, Ash tells his friends what happened at the Aether Foundation. And then we also find out that they also find out that Lily and Gladian ran away. And Kukui says that they should ask the Island King for help regarding all of this. So when they get to Hala's place, Ash tells Hala what happened, and Hala talks about the legend of Solgaleo and the Altar of the Sun, where a battle between the Island Guardians and the Ultra Beasts took place. So they go there. We also see Lily and Gladian, who are willing to do whatever it takes to get their mom back. So while they're on Pony Island, Lily tries to figure out how to solve. Well, she thinks there are puzzles that don't actually exist, and Gladian's just looking at her like, "What are you doing? There's nothing actually there." Like she thought there was an invisible bridge, so she tried to put dirt on it. So it seems like Lily reads so many books that she doesn't know fiction from nonfiction. So as they continue their adventure on Pony Island, they end up getting stopped by a bunch of Komo and Jangmo. And so then the totem Komo appears, so Gladian tries to battle it, but doesn't really stand a chance. So Lily tells her to use the fairy disc, the fairy memory, but a Jangmo slaps it across, so Lily uses icy wind on the ground. Gladian slides under, he gets it, then manages to defeat the totem Como. Then the entire cave starts to cave in, and then Ash saves them with an electro ball. And then Gladian says that this is a family matter, but Ash says in Alola people share things, and that they should share their problems too. And Lily agrees, even though it's not really logical, and they all decide to head to the altar together. And when they get there, the Tapu are waiting, and the episode ends. So that episode was the perfect setup for the next episode, seeing as how nothing that could have been done in the next episode could have happened if Ash didn't decide to intervene in their family problem. So this episode was pretty good. I can't really remember if there were any really noticeable animation moments aside from when not Type Null, Silvally had the like fairy aura around him, and he had the fairy disc in, and I guess the totem Pokemon Shine. It wasn't as like the totem Z power wasn't really as good as we've seen it before, so I don't really think that was a highlight, but I think the fairy aura around Hill Valley was pretty nice. So I'd say this episode is an 8 to a 9 out of 10. It was a good setup episode, but nothing really stood out in this episode aside from the great moments that it had, but still otherwise a great episode. So for the next episode, episode 52, The Altar of the Sun, Solgaleo Descends. This episode was pure hype. And once again, for the past like 10, yeah, it's been like 10 episodes exactly since the Brock and Misty special, and these Sun and Moon episodes have been non stop good. I wasn't expecting them to reach like this point in the villain arc, or the evil team arc, I should say, so quickly, but they have. It's strange because they haven't really introduced Guzma yet, so I guess that's the only thing that'll possibly go on after this arc, Team Skull stuff. But Team Skull is the worst villain team ever in terms of being evil, so they don't really have much to offer as an evil team. So this episode started off with recap from Lily and Pikachu shaking Tapu Koko's hand when it like meets it. Then Ash asks Tapu Koko for help saving Lucamine, and they share some, and then the Tapu share their memory of meeting Solgaleo and Lunala, and Nebby being born with Ash and the others. Then Ash shows Tapu Koko Nebby, who's looking like who's basically evolved, but Ash doesn't really know that. And so Nebby starts floating up, and then all the other Tapus start dancing around Nebby, I guess to give it some of their power. But Gladian gets impatient and asks, when are they actually going to do something about getting to the Ultra Wormhole? Then Professor Kukui gets a call from Professor Burnett, so he heads out. Team Rocket also arrive and notice that Nebby has changed. Well, and then James points out that it's actually just evolved into a Katadogus. So I guess Coughing has a fourth evolution line now, according to James. Then when Professor Kukui arrives to save Professor Burnett with his partner Braviary, he manages to defeat the Jangmo and the Komao with just Braviary, I guess. So it looks like Professor Kukui's partner is Braviary, and I don't really think there were a Braviary in Sun and Moon. Well, there has to be an Ultra Sun and Moon now because of the Pokédex, because they had to add all of them. But it makes me think Professor Kukui may actually be from Univo, just like Professor Burnett, which means, like I said a few reviews ago, that they may have actually been childhood friends, and maybe one of them they've just forgotten each other. So if they were childhood friends like I predicted, maybe they'll just remember each other later on from, because we know Professor Burnett is from Univo too. So if they have that connection and they already knew each other, maybe that's what leads to them eventually getting married like in the game. But that'll be cool to find out later on. Anyways, then Team Rocket tries to capture the Tapu, which they keep pronouncing as Cubs. But Beware stops them by breaking their backs, the only good way to handle this. Anyways, then the Tapu do a chant causing power to come from the altar of the sun, and Nebby enters the light and evolves into Solgaleo. That moment was legendary itself. Aside from Solgaleo being a legendary Pokemon, the shock on all of their faces was even more surprising, especially Team Rocket, who were expecting Wheezing. I was actually wondering what it would have evolved into, Solgaleo or Lunala, but I guess we got our answer. It's evolving into Solgaleo. I wonder if it'll transform back and transform into Lunala, or just go straight from Solgaleo to Lunala when they're leaving the Ultra Wormhole. That'll be cool to see. Then we get another great moment in this episode where Lily asks Solgaleo to touch it, and then it says yes. And we also see another moment when Ash offers Solgaleo candy, but it thinks Solgaleo isn't going to want it now because it's a legendary Pokemon. But since Nebby is still Nebby, it does eat the candy. And then we get a bit of flashback from Nebby and its moments with Ash and his friends at the Pokemon school. And then Ash asks Solgaleo to take it through the Ultra Wormhole to save Lucamine. And Solgaleo decides to give Ash a new Z Crystal, but it doesn't fit into a Z Ring. So the Tapu Koko, along with the other Tapu, perform a ritual dance, I guess, to evolve Ash's Z Ring into the Black Z Ring, which can be used to perform Solgaleo's Z move. So then they all get on Solgaleo's back, and Tapu Koko teaches Ash Solgaleo's Z move poses. So then Ash is able to perform Solgaleo's Z move, Sunshine Smasher, and enter the Ultra Wormhole. And yeah, it looks like Ash and his friends are going into the Ultra Wormhole. I wonder what the others are gonna do. I know Lana and Kiawe have a Z ring, so they can perform Z moves, which could possibly fight back against any possible Ultra Beast. But the others don't really have any aside from Gladian. So Ash, Gladian, Kiawe, and Lana are the only ones who can perform Z moves to protect themselves from Ultra Beast, really. Because regular moves don't really work on Ultra Beast. At the end of the episode, we also see Professor Burnett and Professor Kukui watching Ash and the others go into the Ultra Wormhole. I don't know why, but that reminded me of when Brock was left behind and Ash and Dom went into the Distortion World. I don't know, that just that when I saw that scene, it immediately reminded me of that. Plus, they had music on that you normally hear in a Pokemon movie. There were actually multiple soundtracks that I've been hearing in this arc lately that I've only ever heard in Pokemon movies. That either means they're not going to make another Sun and Moon movie, which it looks like is probably going to happen, or they're going to have completely new soundtracks for the next movie, which would also be good. So this episode was awesome. Easily a 10 out of 10. And the next episode is the rescue mission. Really can't wait for that. Let me know what you guys thought about this episode in the comment section below. But this episode was so hype with Nebby evolving. Then we had moments like Lily asking Solgaleo to touch it. Then Ash performing a Z move, the new Z move, and getting the black Z ring. And this episode, you could really see how much Gladian really cared for his mom because he seemed like he was more worried about his mom than Lily at some moments. Not to say that she wasn't worried, but he almost looked like he was like getting torn by not being able to go to her, as compared to before when he was just blaming her for everything. So you can really see some change in Gladian from this episode. But those were my thoughts on this episode. Let me know what you guys thought of this episode in the comment section below. Thanks for watching and bye. Really can't wait for the next episode.